say that's the purpose of the dog. Not that they love the dog, but to show that they have mastered obedience.
I must have heard that.
Did you start?
No.
Okay.
Because that dog is a slap in our face.
Yes.
You know, we fought them. The same slaves that served them and that loved them like their children. And, you know, depended on them for food, clothing, and shelter, and respected their authority over them for years, went to civil war and fought against them, and then after the war were elected in official offices over them. They were pissed. They were really hurt. 200 years of lynching came behind that. So that dog is also a symbol of saying, this dog is more loyal than you are. I loved you, I fed you, I took care of you, and you turned on me. My dog is my man's best friend. He used to be man's best friend. Now this dog is man's best friend. That's why they call him man's best friend. We used to love our master. A lot of us, we had to. I don't see how we dealt with slavery if we didn't at least like him a little bit.
All right.
People love cruel parents that beat them.
Yes.
Go ahead, I'll start that. And let me know when it says live. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Highly glorified is Allah, the guardian evolver, the cherisher, the sustainer of all the systems of knowledge. I want to thank the Mosque for allowing me to be here again, first Sunday. And I want to greet all of those here in the room, and then those who are watching on Facebook Live with the greetings of peace. Assalamu alaikum. And Happy New Year. Happy 2018 to everybody. Thank Allah for blessing us to be here again, another year on the Christian calendar. All right. I want to make that distinction. All right. Anyway, my class today will deal with several technology issues that have been in the news, recently in the news. I'm going to begin with some information about a subject that is important for all of us and why passwords may be a thing of the past soon, where you don't have to worry about remembering a password. I'll deal with that. I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on with Facebook and an apology they had to make. No, the apology is for the iPhone and from Apple. And for all of those who have Apple phones, don't want to leave those who don't have them out. But this time, the information is about the iPhones. And then I got one other I'm going to talk about, and this is dealing with toys. They call them smart toys. And why it's important to be very careful if you buy a smart toy for your child or your nephew, niece, or whatever. Because if it's connected, there's a chance that it could be eavesdropping on you if you don't have it set up right. Okay? So, with that, I want to direct your attention to the screen here. And let's begin with this presentation, this video. Okay, now let's make sure that the sound is up here. Oh, let me see that. We have to turn the sound up here.
Keep track of and impossible to keep up to date. Now, imagine how nice it would be to live in a world without passwords. That utopia is hardly out of reach. There's a big push to get there. Passwords are the most vulnerable part of our computer systems. Our computers are under attack. All across the world, 1 million victims a day. There are a lot of attacks.
Yeah, there are.
Outside of Seattle, tech giant Microsoft keeps track of cybercrime at its own internal lab, and they've noticed something alarming.
81% of the data theft that we saw was related to username password. And so that gives you a pretty good idea of the magnitude of the problem. Using the analysts...
Brett Arsenal is their chief information security officer. Did you get any bad guys? Without going into specifics?
Yes. The hacking community has grown both in size and in sophistication, the techniques that they use, which again goes back to why it was so important we solve this problem.
Microsoft is one of a handful of companies pushing hard to scrap passwords, the most vulnerable aspect of everyday digital life.
people use very simple passwords that are easy to guess, or using sophisticated computers are very easy to crack.
According to a recent study, in 2016, the most popular password found among data breachers was 123456, with more than 80% of people using the same weak password across 20 to 30 accounts. What's more, half of tech users write their passwords down on paper, leaving an estimated 24 billion intelligent devices over the next 2 years exposed.
This is Microsoft's Envisioning Center.
Julia White is the vice president of Microsoft's cloud platform. What is biometrics?
Basically, it means using you as your password, right? Your face, your fingerprint, in some cases even a heartbeat, to say that you are who you are.
She and her team are working to make passwords a thing of the past.
You're gonna just look at the camera. It's taking 300 different points, and that's it.
Show me what happens when you walk up
Yeah.
and try to get into my laptop.
I'm gonna get in there, and it's gonna think, and you're like, nope, it's not logging me in, and it's not, right?
Even with the same haircut.
Yeah.
Biometrics are already being used on laptops and cell phones, like the iPhone X. But the goal, she says, is to access everything from banking to Brooks Brothers without ever typing another password.
It's better from a security perspective. It's gone because it's just a better experience rather than having to worry about forgetting my password. I am the password.
But a lot of people are going to want to know, can it be stolen? Because once my face is stolen, I can't get another face.
Security people will never say nothing's possible, but let's be honest, that is incredibly unlikely.
Experts say it won't be long until passwords are completely obsolete, but they caution cybercriminals are incredibly savvy, and this is a cat and mouse game of locking them out. For the time being, they recommend using 2 types of authentication, for all your digital devices. But wouldn't that be amazing, guys?
Yes.
You wouldn't have to use passwords?
Yes, I thought the thumbprint was good enough, but I'm ready for the next step.
Productivity would also go through the roof because we would all have that hour or so that we spend every week trying to recall our passwords.
And be honest, who writes them down? Do you write them down?
Oh, please.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And it says passwords with all of them.
Yeah. Oh, and there you go.
Exactly. Don't have to
Just
have
did
that.
It's very safe.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Today, Apple is going to
Let me
reinvent
take
the phone.
Let's take a break here. We don't want to show that one right now. All right, so does anybody here still write their passwords down?
I don't write them down, but I forget them.
All right. Okay. I think most of you know I have the iPhone 10, right? It uses Face ID. Yeah. I could demonstrate that. If I have enough time, I'll demonstrate it. Okay. But I want to show these other 2 videos. But that's a part of it. And even iPhone 7, the one I'm recording with on Facebook Live, and iPhone 8, they use your fingerprint. Either one, you can use the thumb or any finger you want to get into your phone. There's some who like it, there's some who don't. All right. But as you know, eventually,
You can put your left thumb and the right thumb.
right, you can however you want to do it.
Both of them.
You know.
Yeah, both of them.
Yes, which is good. All right. So, but anyway, but the Face ID is excellent. I'll demonstrate it after. So let's go to the next video. That's dealing with passwords. Let me deal with this one, and this is one where Facebook now wants to encourage your child to use the Messenger app. All right. But don't. It's not really a threat or anything like that. But you do have to be vigilant. You have to be, as a parent, have to be vigilant. But it's a good way to keep in touch. All right. So I'm going to show that video now.
Sometimes a cough gets in the way of a good night's sleep. That's when he needs Vicks Vapor Rub, proven cough medicine with 8 hours of vapors, so he can sleep. Vicks Vapor Rub, good night coughs.
Good morning. The new app is called Messenger Kids and allows children to video chat and message with family and friends. Facebook says kids between the ages of 6 and 11 are most likely to gravitate toward this app, which for parents, of course, brings questions about safety. The concept may raise some eyebrows. A social media app called Messenger Kids, but Facebook says it's parents who are in control, setting up the accounts and approving all contacts before children start chatting.
The latest tragic case, a 12-year-old girl who took her own life.
In recent years, we've seen the dark side of social media in young hands, bullying taken to the extreme, which is why Nikki Fountas is glad she'll be able to monitor her 10-year-old daughter Amelia's activity. 6-year-old Jack won't have his own account just yet.
I think it's very important that parents know who their kids are talking to, that they know that the conversations are appropriate. Good job.
The Fountas family lives in Raleigh, North Carolina, one of many places where Facebook held roundtables. Nikki and Amelia were among the parents and students given a chance to test the app and offer input.
It is really fun and it helps me stay in contact with my friends and family.
We also got a sneak peek.
You're an old man, and then if you open your mouth, you turn into a baby.
The video chat feature puts a huge emphasis on interactive face filters and sound effects.
Now you're an opera singer. If you sing with your mouth wide open like an opera singer would do, you crack glass. One of the things we found over and over was that kids look at communication as play. And so we wanted to make it as playful as possible.
Tell Grandma about your day. So she's seeing you too.
For the Fountas kids, still too young for smartphones, the app gives them an amusing way to talk with their grandmother who lives in another state.
What I really liked about it is that it's not a profile. So it's not like anyone else can look up your child.
Facebook says safety is a primary concern, which is why parents must okay the contacts using their own Facebook account.
The parent is really helping to establish that social community.
Children can block or report anything that makes them uncomfortable, then parents are immediately notified, and kids cannot delete the conversation, so adults can check the devices. As for worries that kids will be glued to their screens, Facebook says it's looking at building controls around how much time is spent on the app.
I think at some point we need to be realistic that social media isn't going away. It's actually really great for kids to see how grown-ups communicate effectively online, and you can have the chance to model it for them.
Some may wonder if Messenger Kids is a way for Facebook to attract children at a younger age, but the company says that's not the goal.
This is about communication. This is about facilitating communication among families.
Again, kids will not need a Facebook profile for this. As for privacy concerns, Facebook says kids' information will not be used for ads. In fact, Messenger Kids has no ads or in-app purchases. A preview of this app is coming today to the App Store, but right now, only for Apple products. Well done, Savannah.
All right, an interesting one, Joe. Thank you.
Okay, so let's
And
start.
finally, actor Alec Baldwin are obsessed with. Yeah. I was.
Okay, so let me tell you why I wanted to show that one to you and why it's so important. It's better to know what your children are doing and you are involved in it than just to turn a blind eye to it. Because let me tell you, they're going to get on those phones and they're going to communicate. It's a given. As you say, it's what they say is the horses out of the barn. If you want to use that old, it's out. It's going to be. They're going to be on the phones. They're on the phones now, and they may not be on your phones, but they're on their friends' phones. If they don't have a phone, they're on their friends' phones. All right. So it's important if you have small children, to set them up. Remember now, you're in control. I use Facebook. There's good and bad to everything. We all know that. All right. So let's use the good. All right, and throw out the bad. You're in control of this. And so if you have a child and they got friends out there and they're on Facebook, you choose who they're going to be in contact with. And then you can even monitor their contacts. And remember, whatever they communicate over that app stays there. You can always log in and see what they've said and things like that. It's like inviting people over to your home and knowing what's going on. Tell them, don't close the door, now leave the door open. Y'all remember that? In those times. Okay. Well, this is just like this. It's just all virtual, because this is where we live now. We live online. We don't just live in our homes now. We live online. This is the world we live in.
And there's a predator out there, and he got free range. It's called capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
It's at any cost to get the minds and the influence in the minds of the children. So we should have, we're learning this now. 30, 40 years ago, they pretty much had the minds of the entire society because there's only 2 or 3 TV channels you could watch. And so whatever the trend or the popular trend was, they needed you to buy the new clothes, they just changed the style, narrow the pants, widen the pants, tighten, narrow the collar, shrink the collar. So you have to buy new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But now they have to get directly to the individual in order to in order to track what the interests are of those individuals, and now they target you as an individual.
That's correct.
Which is not a bad thing. It's really a good thing. It's like having your own personal assistant. But the danger is who's raising your children, you or the internet. And I like when you made that comment about they learning it in school. I witnessed to that. The children are learning it in school. When I was a child, it was certain TV shows I didn't watch, or either our TV was off, but I knew more about the TV show as if I had watched it,
mm-hmm.
because it was 30 children that saw it last night.
There you go.
And they stood in a circle and talked about it.
There you go.
So you can't avoid it.
You can't. So you want to be in control as much as you can. All right. So that's Facebook Messenger for kids. All right. Now, for all of us who have the iPhone, not trying to leave those out who Android, but for all those who have the iPhone, this particular video deals with an issue with the iPhone. But they'll talk about it, and then I'll make some comments afterwards why it's so important to look at both sides of an issue. Don't just take one side of it, but look at both sides of an issue. So let me play the video first, and then we'll discuss a little bit afterwards. Apple apologizes for slowing down old iPhones. So if you have an old iPhone, this really will be, I'm not trying to throw, it'll be important for you.
You can use that language here. That's popular. He ain't got to throw no shade.
Right, I'm not trying to. Okay, now, here we go. It was planned, so let's. If you notice, when you're using the internet, nothing is free, okay? So this is an ad. Can't skip the ad, so it's just an ad, but it'll be off in a little bit.
Apple is apologizing after admitting a software update deliberately slowed some older iPhones. The tech giant says the update is intended to prevent sudden shutdowns in the iPhone 6. But as a side effect, apps and other functions run slower. In a new message to customers, the company says, quote, "We know that some of you feel Apple has let you down. We apologize. We have never and would never do anything to intentionally shorten the life of any Apple product." Apple is discounting the cost of battery replacements on certain phones. Dan Ackerman is a section editor at our partner CNET. Dan, great to have you back with us at the table. This is a bit confusing. Apple is apologizing, but not for what some of its users are accusing it of doing. So explain how this all went down.
Yeah, it's a complicated issue. What Apple did was come up with a not entirely unreasonable solution to a problem that's not very easy to fix. And that's the batteries that we use in everything. As they get older, they don't hold as much charge, and they also can't give out energy at the same peak levels. And when you have newer apps on phones that really want to do impressive stuff, they need a lot of energy. And people found that on their older phones, sometimes not only was the battery life not as long, the phone would just shut down. I found that happened to me with my iPhone 6 Plus. So they had a software update, because so many things about these devices are determined by software updates that come after you buy the original device, that said we're going to smooth out some of those peaks, do some power management to basically say the phone can't give out as much energy to the apps as the apps may sometimes ask for, to make the battery last longer, so you don't have a phone that lasts like 3 or 4 hours, you have one that'll last most of the day.
You know, it's interesting because this did make me think when I read this story. When you used to have a BlackBerry, you can actually take the battery out yourself and put a new one in. With the iPhone, it's not easy to do. You'd actually have to go into the store and have it done for you. Apple is now saying they're going to allow you to follow your battery life more easily on your iPhone. Explain that.
Yes, they're not going to change what the software update did in terms of doing the power management and slowing down your phone to extend the battery life, but they say that they're going to add something to the software for it that will let you monitor it and give you more information, more transparency about what's happening, and that's kind of the entire game here, is providing transparency. That's what the apology does after the fact. And that's what I think people were more upset about than their older phones slowing down a bit, the lack of transparency, and that they weren't telling you they were doing this to your product.
You mentioned the apology. How big of a deal was it? We heard sort of a little apology and now a full apology.
That's true. And Apple, over the years, they've had a handful of these situations where they've done these kind of big apologies. The one that always comes to mind is what they call Antenna-gate, which was actually way back in 2010, where first they said, you're holding the phone wrong if you can't get a call through. And then they said, okay, we'll give you a little rubber bumper to go around it, and we're sorry about that. So it is rare, but apologies, I think, are very important for these big companies. Look what happened with Samsung last year when they had their own battery problems. They eventually came to a big apology, a big investigation, shared a lot of information with people, and now people are still buying Samsung, Galaxy and Note phones. That apology really worked well for them.
You and I have had conversations about this. A lot of people have a sneaking suspicion that the reason that these phones didn't work is so that you would be forced to upgrade to the newest model of an iPhone. Is Apple addressing that? They denied that, by the way.
I think what they were trying to do, at least what they say they were trying to do, is the opposite. Make your phone feel like it'll last longer because the battery doesn't run out as quickly and you don't feel like you have to get a new phone. But by making the phones feel more sluggish, they actually ended up maybe doing the opposite. I had an iPhone 6 Plus that was really getting kind of pokey, and I upgraded to a 10 this year. When I gave my 6 to somebody I work with, the first thing they did was go, oh man, you've got to get a new phone, because it was really, it felt really slow to them.
It's interesting. It's rare you get an apology from Apple, and while they did offer an apology, they also explained in their apologies that batteries don't last forever.
Yeah.
And that's true. And there's batteries in everything we own, not just phones.
It is the sluggishness that leads all of us to new purchases. Dan Ackerman, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. How many people have, I don't need to know how old your phone is, but you have, first, I have an iPhone. Okay. Let me turn this. Okay. And let me put this back on. Well, let me just leave it there for a second. All right, so what Apple did was, if you have an iPhone, what Apple did was, they would discount the battery. You do have to take it in and have someone replace it, but then it would extend the life of your phone, because they do come out with updates all the time. And I encourage, as I've done here before, that you make sure you download the update. The update sometimes has things in there to deal with virus protection, because there be new viruses that come out, and they send out updates, and be some other issues, okay? So you do want to update your phone. Every time they send an update out, update your phones, be it iPhone or Android. Download the update and update it, because they found a flaw, and that's why they sent out an update. And if your phone starts getting slow or whatever, I would say check the special they got on the Apple has. And if you have a phone that's older than the newest one out there, take it in and get a new battery. And it's a discount, and they can extend your phone for a year or two. All right. So that would be. There is a discount for the battery and the service, but you just have to contact Apple and find out what the discount is.
I know it was $79, but they dropped it down to $29.
All right. So I'll say yeah, check it and take advantage of it. And I think but you have to have a certain type of phone, like a iPhone 6, 6 Plus, something like that. Those are the ones that they offer the discounts on to changing the batteries. All right. All right. Okay. So now I hope that information I've shared this morning has been valuable to you, has been informative to you. Now let me end my presentation. I got about 9 minutes. Let me end my presentation with a question that was asked last first Sunday. For those who have iPhones, what's the difference between the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 10? All right. I bought my grandson, actually he bought it, but he put it on my account, an iPhone 8. So that gave me an opportunity to check out the iPhone 8, look at it, and of course I have the iPhone 10, and I'll show you something in a minute with the iPhone 10. The iPhone 8 is, the screen is a little better, a little brighter. They use a different technology with the screen, so it's brighter, right? They still use you can still use the fingerprint to get into your phone. You can use either a passcode or a fingerprint to get into your phone. Of course, it has a little better camera. All right. And they didn't increase the price that much on the iPhone 8. It's almost the same as the iPhone 7. I think it's almost the same price as the iPhone 7. So they didn't increase the price that much. So if you're really thinking about upgrading, if you have an iPhone, or if you want to come over from the Android and come over to the Apple system, all right, you can look at the iPhone 8. But if you want to go to the top of the line, go to the iPhone 10. iPhone 10. It's excellent. And I don't have any stock in Apple. I wish I did.
I got a silly question about the iPhone 10.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know this don't go on. That people don't want to get into your phone and sneak through your phone, but some people do. I heard a lot of these youngsters out here that when they boyfriend or girlfriend doze off, they go and grab their phone.
Yes, yeah, you're right.
So now, if somebody were to grab my hand and try to put my thumbprint on something, that probably would wake me up.
I agree.
But if they just held that phone over my face, I wouldn't even know they was doing it.
You're correct.
So
that's
what about that?
That's a good question.
My account, what if they get in? They get in, now they going in my bank and they put my face up there. And I'm broke when I wake up. I mean broke. That's
all those are good questions. So he asked, what if someone now?
We need to send that to Apple.
Well,
they got an answer. You know they got an answer.
Yeah, sure. Now, I have an answer for it. Now, you got to be careful who you choose to be your companion.
What if you're on
who you be?
Train ride?
Okay, I know. Let me stay with the first one. Stay with the first one.
Okay.
All right.
It's scary, man.
The first thing is they have to get your phone.
True.
They have to get your phone.
But then they got the keys to everything.
Okay, so let's start with that. Where do you put your phone where somebody can just pick up your phone and get to your phone? How many of y'all, do you put your money just anywhere where anybody just pick up your money and get to your money and get to your money? All right. I'm just asking. I'm playing the devil's advocate. That's all.
Yeah.
You got to be careful where you lay your stuff. You can't allow people to get access because they will get access to it. All right.
And don't leave it on the counter when you're in the grocery store.
So when you
that's
go
the
to
first.
sleep, you have to remember have to be careful where you put your face.
There you go.
Have to be careful where you put your face when you go to sleep.
Okay, I got about 5 more minutes, so let me get out. All right,
that's scary, man. That makes me nervous.
Yeah, good point.
Because I'm paranoid anyway.
Well, good point.
I can't help it.
Let me get out. Let me try to get out of here. Okay, here we go. So that is a good point. Well,
I had my best friend robbed my paycheck one time. And that was many years ago. I woke up the next morning. He thought because it was 2 of my friends that spent the night, but this one, he was real smart. He thought I was gonna blame the other one because he was poor. I said, this guy like my brother. I said, I know he wouldn't steal from me. He's dinner with us almost every night, been here and look after me, protect me with his own life.
Okay,
But my
so
friend robbed.
So I'm mirroring now. I'm mirroring now the iPhone. It's the iPhone 10. Let me show you the beauty of Face ID, because there's no touch ID on there. T-Mobile, where I have my account, they support Face ID. So let me just go to my T-Mobile. And I'm turning away from me because I don't want it to see my face yet. You see? But it's looking for it. You see the message up on the screen? And then I turn it toward me and say, try it again. Boom, recognizes it. Boom, I'm into my account. That's how fast it is. That's how fast it is. That's how fast it reads my face and only my face. You think somebody else can get into it?
What about a picture of you?
Won't work.
So many ways.
Won't work.
I just thought.
Won't work. But we can't do it all this morning, this afternoon.
What if it's humid and you sweat?
What about
They've already,
What if you get sweat on your face?
they've done it. Oh, listen, I can turn on all the lights and they can do it at night.
If I get water on my thumbprint don't work.
No, this is face. This is face. All right, so let me, let's try this again.
You said does twins too?
My wife tells you that. I know that comes from my wife. I knew that had to come from my wife.
If you take your glasses off, will it still recognize you?
But if you can't trust your twin now, come on.
I agree. I'm taking my glasses off.
A mother and a child got it in the mother's phone.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you wear your glasses, okay.
In fact, if I turn off all the lights, it recognizes in the dark.
Low light. Because it got infrared.
Yeah, that's a good face ID. But now, understand now, do you all know this is coming? This is just what's on the iPhone.
Have you heard about the infrared sun? It's a theory. They say that there could be a sun out in the Kuiper belt outside of our galaxy. Another sun, but it emits infrared light, so we can't see it, and the camera can't see it.
Okay, I haven't heard about that. All right, so
I'll wait.
one other thing they spoke about, they said two-factor authentication. I did a presentation on that before. Remember that you need two pieces of information to get into an account? That's what they call that's what they mean by two-factor authentication. To get into my GoDaddy account, I have an account with GoDaddy. And to get into my GoDaddy account, I need both my password, and then they're gonna send me a text message to my phone. And I gotta put that text message in. But both of them have to go in before me, I'll be able to get into that account. Do you know you can set that up for your phone or for your banking, anything like that? It's called two-factor authentication, all right? And then, of course, I share with all of you where I put my passwords. I don't write them down. I use this right here. What this is a vault. It's a vault. And I don't have it on this phone. I have it on that phone. All right. But this vault, so let me just get out of this. It's called iPassword. That's where I put all my passwords. I don't have to try to remember. But I'm the only one who can get into it. And you can't get into it from this phone. I have to get into it from that phone. That means you have to have my thumbprint to get into the phone. Then you got to know the password to get into the vault, to get to the other passwords. All right. So I don't have to remember. And I got long passwords, so I don't have to remember them. All right. And that cost me one time $5. One time cost, $5. It's the best $5 I ever spent. All right. So I encourage you all to protect your technology, because this is what we have to work with. And I encourage you to protect it. All right, so with that, brothers and sisters, and those who are watching on Facebook Live, I want to thank you. Are there any questions about anything I presented this morning? And the beauty on Facebook, they can put the comments and stuff down. I can go and see them afterwards. I can go into my timeline and I'll see what they ask, and I can respond to them. All right, but then you can also do that on YouTube. And I encourage all those who are on Facebook Live or who want to get access to the entire First Sunday program, because this will end the presentation for this First Sunday with my class. But there'll be a lot more that's going to go on after this presentation, and it will all be available on the Mosque Cares YouTube page. And so I encourage you to log into YouTube, just type in the subject line, The Mosque Cares. It will take you right to the site, and then while you're there, subscribe to it, so you can always get information when they upload new information to their site. All right, so with that, brothers and sisters, I thank you for your attention.